Hey everyone, Storm here, bringing you another First Descendant build guide. Today, I'm bringing you Viessa. Full disclosure, I actually made this build guide like 2 weeks ago, but I was kind of sick, so my voice was really raspy. It's kind of recovering much better now than it was, so I just wanted to re-record it, so it sounded a lot better. But today for Viessa, I'm going to go over a few different build guides. I have one for her mobbing setup, one for the Abyss battle when it's back in rotation. It's not currently, but will be back, I'm sure. It's what they said. And then another one for just like a standard boss, like if you're going against Pyro or anything like that, or kind of bringing it into everything. And then the last one I have is going to be more of a survival one. So I only have one health mod on most of my setups. But in case you are struggling to stay alive, I do have one for survival, specifically in the Abyss battle, but it could help in other areas as well. So let's jump right on into it. I want to start out with the modules. After the modules, we'll go over the external components, reactor, the weapons I use and for which content I use them for, and then what I have my inversion set to, just so you can see if you'd like to go with mine or if you want to switch it up to something else. So to get started here, before going over it, I know VS has been out since the beginning, but just to kind of go over her skills, they are all changed to singular right now because I'm using Absolute Zero, and I'll be using that for this entire build and all of the builds along with it. So right here, you can see that whenever you land a critical hit, you're going to have an ice shackle fly towards an enemy, or when an ice shackle would be the ice shard flies towards the enemy. That's going to be doing a great deal of damage for you and kind of just passively happens. So you don't have to think about it at all. Then I'm going to start at the most damaging ability here. We've got the Blizzard. So that's something that you're just going to cast at the beginning of the battles, kind of like wipe out big mobs. And then it still does have a 14-second cooldown, even with all the cooldown I have. So in between casting that, you're gonna be using your Cold Snap and your Frost Shards here, so that way you're gonna having something to cast in between. With this build, I almost never use my guns except for whenever I'm attacking a boss, and I'm not even using the gun to kill the boss, I'm using it to increase the damage of my ice by lowering their ice resistance. And then I always have Frost Roads on, so I'm moving faster. This lasts way longer than the cooldown. The duration is 19 seconds. It's on a 19-second cooldown or a 6-second cooldown. So just use it whenever it falls off, or just before you feel like it's going to fall off, reactivate it so then you're moving speedy. It's kind of doing a small amount of passive damage and then keeping your speed quick. The second most powerful ability is going to be your Cold Snap, which kind of does that rectangle AoE in front of you. Huge amount of damage, hits really hard. As you can see right there, the modifier is 3194. And then this one right here is just kind of like a sniper, just hits one time really hard. Does hit in an area as well, though. So when you hit it into a small group of people, it will pretty much kill them all. So let's get into the mods here. Of course, like I said, I'm using Absolute Zero. And with the Abyss and the boss, I'm only going to be changing one mod on each one of them to get to where we need to be. So I like cooldown a lot on most of my builds, so I started out here with Nimble Fingers and MP Conversion. Very solid choices to just be able to spam your skills over and over and over. Then for some more chill skill power, I went with Focus on Chill, also to get that extra little bit of cooldown. If you don't feel you need HP for your mobbing set, you could switch out, put the chill on here, and then use another slot for the focus on singular. Then I've got skill expansion. Of course, you're mobbing. You want your skills to be bigger. You want to be able to hit a very large area of mobs, so that is highly recommended for this build. I'm going to cover the next four all at once. You've got skill concentration, skill insight, emergency measures, and front lines. They're all skill critical hit damage and skill critical hit rate. So all those couple together really nicely for a massive critical hit damage and critical hit rate, which on this one, I do have 100% critical hit rate. As you can see here, we are maxed on that baby. So you're always critting, you're always wanting to have that high damage applied there. While I'm going through mobs, I personally do like having the MP collector. If you're struggling to survive, you could always put HP collector on and just make sure you're picking up all of the orbs, the little blue orbs. It's easier to pick them up when you have full health than it is to try and collect health orbs if you're dying on your way to death. But having a Luna on the team, of course, makes this one not needed. So you could also add in that focus on singular right here if you do have a Luna on your squad. So as I said, really simple switch here between the two. Because I'm not getting a ton of MP by killing mobs, I went to focus on singular for that little bit of extra cooldown. It doesn't seem like a lot, but I actually did notice it once I got to this with my Abyss battles when I wasn't needing the extra survivability that I'm going to show you a bit later here. Then for the bosses, again, just a simple switch out. I brought that, oh, actually there's another switch here. You could also make the boss, expansion if you needed to, but I don't need the expansion anymore, so I'm focused on singular there, and put dangerous ambush right here. Now this one is huge because I don't have it on the Abyss bottle because you're not knocking it down as often. There's more uptime on it being strong. But with a standard boss, once you knock it down once, as you can see here, I'm going to show you quick. This is the Pyro. When you get him down, watch his health just tick down way faster because that skill power is just so much higher while he's immobilized. So very worth throwing this on. I highly recommend it for that battle over the other mods as your gold mod. Then, as I mentioned here, with the Abyss battle, I wanted to show you a survivability mod. And this is what I used to do on the Abyss before I got used to the mechanics and was able to dodge a lot more. Before, I was able to dodge everything and get onto it, so I got rid of skill expansion. You do have to be a little bit more precise with your blizzards, with your 3 right here, your cold snap. But it does get the trick done. You have a little less cooldown and a little less skill power modified. It's going to take you longer. But this heat release stops you from burning, so you don't take that damage over time. And then it also gives you some extra fire resistance. And I added the heat antibody on here to just add that base fire resistance. Otherwise, the 29% is just wasted unless, of course, you have it on your external component. So that's a great transition over to our external components here. I have on my mobbing set and all the other sets, I do the max HP and the MP recovery out of combat. I think the MP recovery out of combat is a super important one to have on that secondary, especially if you don't have the MP collector to get during battles. Then the max HP, this one could be up for debate. When I do face the Abyss battle, I actually do put on the fire resistance just so I have max fire res, because that is a big part of the damage he's doing, and it really stops it from doing it. If you don't put the max fire or more fire res on this, you'll have about 5,000, about half the fire res. So it's plenty enough to do the survivability with the max HP on there if you do have that for one of your options. Then on the Slayer sensor, what you want to have is the max MP and MP recovery. Oh, and I almost forgot to mention, yes, of course, the Slayer set. It goes without saying right now with that extra 26% skill power, the Slayer set is kind of just dominant on anyone that is using the skills. So max MP and that MP recovery in combat, super important to have both of these. Get that max MP as high as you can and that MP recovery as high as you can. Then over here on max shield, you could do defense and MP recovery modifier, or MP recovery modifier and the defense as well. I have the shield on here just because it's what I have. So working with that on the processor, it honestly doesn't matter as much what you have on here, but since you are doing Slayer set, having that extra shield and that shield recovery is just really nice for survivability. Then right here, Frozen Reactor, of course, you're going to want to have that beam rifle or match whatever you are using. If you aren't going to use your gun a ton, that's fine. It doesn't really matter what the gun is, just have it matched so that way you're getting that max power. I recommend critical hit damage and cooldown, or critical hit damage and Colossus damage if you're against the Colossus. Otherwise, cooldown and critical hit damage is going to be your best, especially when you're mobbing. You're going to want that cooldown so you can just spam your abilities over and over to kill whatever the Blizzard doesn't already kill. As we go over to our weapons, I say this lightly because I don't really use the weapons a ton with Viessa, aside from a few small situations. So, while I'm facing the Infernal Walker, I do want to show you this because with this, I am using it, not necessarily for the weapon damage, but I'm using it so that way when I'm using my ice abilities on it, I am reducing its ice resistance. So that way your chill resistance on your enemy is going down and you're killing him. So that is going to be really great right there. And then when you go into here, I'm just going to show you a quick screenshot of what I have if you want to take a screenshot quick. I haven't done weapon builds. Let me know if you guys want me to do weapon builds. I would happily do them. But on here, I do have the super cool plasma, the snowflake. The two mods that are really important that I highly recommend having on here. One is the beam rifle charging speed, because that charge speed is going to help you apply your debuffs faster, and then fire rate. So the debuff charge and fire rate are going to be super important. And then reload speed if you want to put that on, or if you are going to do anything, at least don't put concentration priority on over bullet integration, because it is so important that you reload really quickly so you can keep that debuff on and not have to worry about that extra long reload that you get from the concentration priority if you are using the weapon during that boss battle. Then I use the Voltitia for the Void Vessel. I literally use it to pop the bubbles, and then I use my skills. So right here you can see here, I'm just going to show you up in a battle. Come into the battle, you're using your rifle to pull down the bubbles. Then I'm casting a blizzard. Then I'm using my other ice skills. Then I run over to the other side here. You're going to see me kill the bubbles immediately with that beam rifle. Then I'm back to casting my skills. So it's kind of wash, rinse, repeat for get the bubbles down, cast your skills. Get the bubbles down, cast your skills. Then lastly, I do use the Enduring Legacy only when a boss gets enraged and I have to shoot its weak points, because your skills aren't going to kill the weak points. I highly recommend using the Enduring Legacy just to break those weak points quick so you can get back to spamming your skills to kill it. Because yes, even the Colossus is going to go down the fastest with Viessa's skills, especially when you're going against a fire one. It just works wonders. Then let's go on down to the Inversion reinforcement here. I'm going to show you what I have, and again, always feel free to switch it out whenever you'd like. This is pretty much what I use for all skill descendants. I personally always go with the defense over the health. You can absolutely go with the health, but since I don't always build a ton into health, that extra defense is super nice to have, and I usually will try to get some defense on my external components, although this build doesn't have them, but that also adds to it, so it's really nice to add. Then I like the heightened sensory cells because they just give me that little bit of HP when I need it, and that max MP going up is super helpful. Then right here, again, that blizzard, a lot of Viessa skills are going to be hitting multiple enemies at once, and it's always going to kill them when they crit really hard. So that cooldown is going to increase, and then you get more range out of it. So that's why I love that one. If you are going against a Colossus and survivability is a struggle for you, I recommend taking either the all attribute one to help you a little bit more there, or just getting that void resistance for when you are 50% below health. I think this one is a little bit more helpful with that 35-second cooldown, but this one right here is also pretty nice. So a little less cooldown. I find that the void resistance is probably going to be the best one for the void if you're doing it. All right, friends. So the last thing I'm going to do here is I'm going to put my Infernal Walker walkthrough, that's a lot to say, on here at the end for you, kind of just showing you how I do the battle. So I'm just going to talk you through it while I kind of show you what's going on here in different portions. So as the battle's starting, I'm going to run up. I already have my Frosty feet on, so I can get booking it right away. Then I'm going to cast my Blizzard here. So right at the beginning, you cast your Blizzard right before the timer starts, so then you fully get your mana back. Then I'm going to cast my skills, run in with it, and then as you can see here, I'm going to be jumping up and down while I'm shooting with my Clairvoyance, just to kind of lower that chill resistance, lower the chill resistance, lower the chill resistance. As I run out of mana, I'm going to get the most mana while I'm out of combat. So I try to get out of combat as soon as I can, and that usually requires getting those Frosty feet on. This is a great time to reload if you have that, if you're running and you got your Frosty feet on. With the Frosty feet on, you won't slow down for the reload. If your Frosty feet on, you are going to slow down a lot, and that's going to be an opportunity to get hit, so don't reload until your Frosty feet are on. Grapple around the arena, you can use long distance like I'm using here, or you could have that midair maneuvering. If you get that midair maneuvering on your, or the grapple hook charge time reduce on your Clairvoyance, a fantastic item to have, or one of your other weapons, it doesn't matter. But that is going to be really helpful for this battle, so you can grapple more often, and you're going to get out of those sticky situations easier. Dodge roll whenever you can as well, just to kind of avoid. And as soon as you get all of your MP back, that is when you go back into the battle. So enjoy, friends. I hope this was really helpful. Comment down below what other build guides you'd like to see in the future. If there's anything about my formatting that you'd like to see change, anything I can do to improve on it. I'm here for you guys. I'm newer. I'm here to grow with you, and I'd love to see what's working, what's not working. And yeah, have a wonderful rest of your day. Thanks so much for watching. Talk to you later. Goodbye. Have a good one.